What's up, HyperFast Agent Nation? On this episode of the show, we are going to sit down with a power real estate couple in the Northern Virginia, actually all over Virginia area. An amazing husband and wife team. Taylor, who is a big-time real estate agent, and Ivo, who has started a trucking and site prep company. They've got an amazing story to share. Welcome to the show, Taylor and Ivo. Welcome to the show, Taylor and Ivo. How are you guys doing today?
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to have you guys on this episode and talk a little bit about your real estate business, investing business, all the cool stuff you're doing up in Northern Virginia. Before we jump into some of that, why don't you tell the listeners, the viewers out there, a little bit about your background and how you guys got into what you're doing today?
Okay. I guess we can start with me. So just to kind of keep it short, I worked in the home remodeling industry for about a year. This was about 5 years ago. And while I was there, one of my good friends got into real estate, and I kind of saw like what he was doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, looks like there's so much more freedom in that. And I knew I always wanted to go out on my own and kind of do my own thing. So I had the conversation with Ivo, and he pushed me. He was like, go get your license, do what you got to do, and go out and become a real estate agent. So I did that about 4 years ago, I want to say. Started with a group, so got to learn the ropes and things like that. And then while I was doing that, learned about off-market investing. And then we were also building Ivo's trucking and construction business at the time too. So we kind of got to see like all aspects of it. And we just were going full force building both businesses, and we are where we are today. That's the short version.
Yeah, and obviously me and Taylor are together. She jumped into the real estate part of things. I'm in construction. I do site development. I have one of the largest, fastest growing trucking companies in Northern Virginia, E-Trucking and Services. We've recently just expanded into site development. So we're doing full site prep for builders, excavators. We come in and we clear the land, prepare the land. And we kind of just fell into that by accident. I'm actually a mechanic by default. I got hurt, and then, trying to look for what to do when I'm home bored on, leave, sick leave. And I just started cold calling random people. My dad had one truck, and say, hey, we got a truck. What can I do? And that kind of just started the business. And today we have about 45 employees. We own over 60 trucks, and we run about 100 to 150 trucks a day and, do full site work. We jumped in, it kind of marries each other because a lot of the clients that I work for in the site development, when we're doing tear downs in Arlington, Taylor might do the listing, or, we find the off-market deals and we work with the clients. And we both love real estate, very much. And the site development side kind of ties in. So that's kind of how we've fallen into that. And now we're getting heavier into off-market deals and working together in that aspect of the thing. So, and we've been married for 4 years and together for 11 since we're 15. So
awesome. Well, you guys are truly a power couple, so it's nice to have you on the show. What exactly do you do for trucking and site development? Those are pretty broad terms, and just so people know like what that means.
Absolutely. So, in the site development world, we're talking about you got to go in there and build a house, or you got to build a building. So you got a land with trees, and you're the investor. You want to go acquire it and put a building there. So I'm the guy. I'm usually the first point of contact that goes in there. I get it all prepared to clear the land, get the ground to the level or the shape, whatever the client wants, or the spec to the engineer. So I'll go in there with machines. I'll clear all the trees. I'll do the excavation. I'll get it prepared to get all the stuff, either if it's staying on site or if it's going off site. I get all that prepared, and then I show up with my trucks, and I'll haul the trees, the logs, the dirt, Most people don't understand. They're like, what is trucking? What is dirt? They just think trucking is
it's basically matchmaking. That's what we do.
So that part, what happens is a lot of the sites need to remove because it has excess dirt.
Yeah.
So I'll then use my machines to load the dirt, and I'll match, and that's what Taylor talks about. I'll match make. I'll find other clients that need the dirt, and I'll find, or either we got to take it to the dump. And that's site development on 101. The trucking industry is how I fell into it. So before, I never did all the clearing, and I'd have the excavator, and he would just show up and say, hey, Ivo, I need 100 loads out of my site. Can you get it out? And that's how this business started. And then I said, well, if I can control the full thing, if I can do the full scope of work, my margins are going to go up, and I'm also going to be able to have better control of the job site, keep the client happier. So that's how we fell into that. That is trucking, that site development 101 on, layman's term of what we do. So we pretty much just get that land ready for the building to go in. And then in the trucking industry, we get all the stuff that's in the land out of the land.
Gotcha. So you are you're moving the dirt around, giving some people fill dirt. When you got into site development, did you have to buy front loaders, backhoes, more stuff? I assume?
Which most people don't understand how expensive, and I didn't understand how expensive machines are. Right? I mean, like my dream is like, oh, one day I want to be able to have a Lamborghini, and I just right now we currently have 4 skid steers, 2 track loaders, 3 excavators, and a bunch of odds and ends loaders for snow machines, which equivalent to over $1 million worth of equipment. And people are like, what? So equipment is very expensive. So I technically already have my Lamborghini. They're just yellow and
Ivo posted something on, I think it was like Instagram story last week. We bought a boat, and he panned over to like the excavator and was like, this paid for this.
Yeah,
it's great. Like, you would never think, people just look at it as like, oh, they're a bunch of toys. Like, probably not that bad. Oh my God, it's insane how expensive these things can get. But it's the investment you have to put towards building your business. And
so are you digging foundations and stormwater management systems and all that kind of stuff now too?
As the industry has changed so much. Stormwater management and stormwater mandates have become more important than, if you're a developer and you're a builder and you're not taking that into consideration, it could really kill your margins, right? So knowing what counties you're building in and knowing what areas is really crucial. So I really actually dove really deep into stormwater management because I know that's a niche that's really in need. A lot of people don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it correctly. So we'll go in there, we'll dig the foundations, we'll get the dirt out of there. If you need under tech, ADS stormwater systems, we can do all that, bioretention, amended soils, and that stuff that 5-10 years ago, I mean, maybe 5 years ago they're still there, but like 15 years ago, that wasn't a mandate, right? So you could build a house a lot cheaper, or build even like a lot, like if you wanted, like me, I'm getting ready to buy our yard, like you could just buy land, clear it, and put gravel in it, and you got a storage yard. Like now, it costs you $200,000 to build a storm sec system for the runoff and catch, and pretty much all it's doing is they're calculating the rain where that water needs to go and filtrate. So it's kind of crazy how the ecological system has gotten in that for the construction aspect. But so we do all that, excavation, stormwater, all that fun stuff. We also do a little bit, we're getting a little bit into concrete. We have one crew that will set up, just because the biggest thing, I think, even in any profession, like you want to be a one-stop shop, right? You obviously you want to be able to specialize in your niche, but the client doesn't want to have to call like you to come do this and then try to schedule with this guy to do that. So if I can tell the client, hey, look, I can do from A to Z, and he knows he's got to pick up one call from what we learned, and it helps control the schedule, helps control the business, communication. So we're creating a concrete crew so we can do a little bit of concrete as well.
What areas do you operate in?
So we do 4 main areas: Fairfax County, Loudoun County, Prince William County, and then we're going to go into, being that our office is in Warrenton, we'll do Fauquier because it's so close to home. But really, we just focus on that, right? Fairfax County, Loudoun.
No Arlington or DC yet?
Yeah. I mean, we do DC, yeah. So DC and down, for the site development, that's where we go. Trucking wise, I go from Richmond to Baltimore because I broker a lot of that stuff. So I just have really good connections, and I have really good vendors and clients and relationships there that I'll set up the deal and I'll broker the deals in those areas. Site development and excavation, we try to stick to DC and down. I've done one job in what's it called there, right outside DC, Fort Washington, Oxon Hill. But we just try to stay close so we can have the quality. I have so many people calling. I want to keep my quality. I think at the end of the day, when you're building a business, I think I heard the statistics, a lot of business don't go out of business because of lack of business is because of shitty business, right? People overcommit to so much stuff that they can never do good work. So, knowing what to say no to is just as important to knowing to say yes to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's cool to see how fast you've built such a capital intensive business. And like you said, a lot of people probably don't realize how much all of that machinery costs.
Yeah.
And you basically have your Lambo or maybe even a small jet already.
pretty much. It's already, and look, and luckily to always watch, I'm actually pretty liquid. I own, out of all of our equipment, we only have notes on 3. So some of it's older, some of it we strategically lease to watch what the economy is doing. So we're not going crazy, going balls to the walls and just taking all these notes and taking all this debt. We try to do it with time and knowing what we need to buy and schedule what's in our budget. So, luckily everything we have pretty much we own. So, which is awesome too.
Well, it's cool to see you building that, alongside what Taylor's doing in real estate. I'm sure a lot of it really works well together. So how is starting the real estate business? Tell us a little bit about you said you started with a group and then which I think is a smart move for a lot of people starting out, and then you've built up your own brand and business. So walk us through that journey a little bit.
Yeah, totally. So when I first started in real estate, obviously I knew nothing about it. If you had asked me what an earnest money deposit was, I wouldn't have an idea. Ivo and I bought our first place when we were 22, 23?
Yeah, 22. 21, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So we knew a little bit, but not enough to fully understand the process and really what goes into it. And so I knew if I was going to get into real estate, I needed to find someone that was great at it, had tons of experience, and could, teach me very quickly. So I chose a team that did a lot of volume in our area, which was amazing. And anyone that asks me, what do I do? I want to get into real estate. I always say, join a team. The reason being is because trying to figure it out on your own, there's so many different things that you have to learn, and it's complicated. It's not just showing properties like HGTV and, walking in and out, and it's not easy. There's contracts, there's lots of legalities, things that you have to know about to get into it. So I think that was the best decision for me. And then I think I just decided, after 2.5 years of being on a team, I knew I could do it on my own, and I had some
the entrepreneur side of me is all right, you got this shit down pat. You're selling 4 houses a month, you're good. Yeah. Let's let the wings fly now.
So Ivo definitely pushed me to do that, and obviously gaining that confidence and knowing, okay, now that I know the process, I know I can do it on my own. I'm gonna jump out and start my own thing. And a huge part of that is branding. You have to create value, and you have to establish that value within your community to have people trust you. When you first start in real estate, you don't really have the trust, you don't have the value, you don't have the knowledge. So it helps being on a team where you're given some of that, and that credibility is already there. Whereas when I went out on my own, I had already established a book of business, I had referrals, people that I had worked with in the past. So I knew I have the trust now, I have the, people believe in me and know and trust in my business, so I can do it. And I did. I think I made that jump last December, so it's been great.
Okay, and what'd you do in your first year in terms of volume, all that good stuff?
So when I was with the team, I was doing about 25. I think I did 25 deals the last year that I was there. But obviously I was splitting all of my commissions with my broker and with my team lead. So when I left, I was okay, I have the opportunity to jump out and do my own thing. I about doubled my volume. because we were also doing off-market deals too, which opens up a whole nother can of worms, because our profits jumped and I was able to do less and focus more on helping Ivo with his business. And yeah, it was great.
So you were actually able to do more after you
Yeah.
do that. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is a credit to you. A lot of people leave the team or leave a team and they don't have the same lead gen support, and
Right.
so they get to keep more, but a lot of them end up doing a lot less in volume. So
right. And I think the reason why I was able to do that too is because we opened up our horizon to going off market and marketing direct to seller and getting some of these leads where we could share, like, and Ivo would come across, sellers that were looking to, sell their property in Arlington or Vienna or wherever. And I just matchmake, just like he's matchmaking, and put that deal together without ever having to go on the market. Yeah. So that created a whole nother facet of our business.
I think though in the beginning there were struggles, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I think a lot of times we try to mastermind and try to figure out, because obviously when you're in a team, you're getting spoon-fed leads, right? You got somebody that's paying all the admin and paying all the, advertising. So for you to figure out the marketing and like, how do you do that on your own and create, like you said, create your lead gen? So I think like the first couple months was like, you're kind of like,
you're trying to figure it out, right? Like I had the skill set of, I knew how to cold call. That was like the one thing that I was taught to do pretty well, and scripts worked well. But then figuring out, okay, I can find a lot of people that way, but I also want to establish a business and create value where people want to come back to me. I'm not just like a one-stop shop, like we're just going to buy one house with you and it's over after that. I knew I wanted to create something where we together could bring that value. Yeah. Like, hey, you're, getting dirt sent to your house. You can also, when you're ready, list your house with me, and we'll also help you find your next property. And then if you want to buy an investment property off market, we also can help you with that too.
And we're always asking the right question. Like, I can't tell you how many leads I've gotten, Taylor, just from bringing dirt. Like, somebody's like leveling out their yard, and it's just asking the right questions. Like, oh, why are you guys bringing dirt? Because I always think it's interesting that people want dirt, at their house. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we want to level our yard because, we're probably going to list, or we're going to sell our house in a month or 2 years or whatever. Right. Oh, awesome. Like, and then I straight off the bat, they usually think I'm crazy because they're like, you do trucking, but you sell houses? What are you talking about? But I say, look, my wife's a realtor. If you're trying to sell off market.
It works too with like me, if I'm working with a builder and I see that they're still putting up properties, I'm like, hey, my husband's a site developer. Like, why don't you just call him and he can bring you dirt or take your dirt, whatever you need. So there's a lot of like sharing our clients and our leads and things like that, because a lot of times they do go hand in hand. So
yeah, we're indirectly in each other's markets. Yeah. So
Ivo says he's a real estate agent, and I say that I'm a dirt broker.
That's awesome to hear. What else are you doing to get off markets, and how are you if you do get off market leads, how are you getting them sold?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. When we first started, we tried the whole like bandit signs. We tried like, what else were we doing?
So I'd say like
not door knocking at one point. Like we were doing some crazy stuff. But then once we got like involved with more people in the industry and the off market business, we have some really great friends that do really well with it. We found that the texting works really well, and still cold calling too. Like that's something that I think I'll always do.
Just got to be careful with texting. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it.
And we are not legal advisors, so.
But no, I think it's I'm going to mess it up, but like TCPA, something like that. It's, you can't really cold, automatic.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Cold texting.
Yes, it's got to be like
get you in trouble, potential big fine. So watch out for that if you're listening.
Yeah.
do your own research on how to on what's right, what's not.
Yes. Yeah. But we definitely had success with some of those things. And honestly, sometimes on market, like we just did one, we actually bought a property at Lake Anna that eventually we'll build on and potentially sell, that we got for like 50 cents on the dollar, but it was listed. So that, I mean, it's all about the conversation, finding someone with urgency. That's like the number one thing is find out what that person is going through and why they're selling. And if they want to sell, why is that? Yeah. Because as soon as you have that information, like the conversation completely changes. And that's what happened with that one.
And so we kind of switched too, for people that are listening. We don't wholesale or try to find off market properties as hard in Northern Virginia, just because it's so competitive and it's so hard. There's really no urgency. Like we went to an appointment in McLean, and this lady pulled out her
spreadsheet.
Well, I didn't go. Taylor went, but she like pulled out a spreadsheet, and she's like, well, this is the house that sold next door, and this is and she's like, by the way, my house is a tear down. I know. So like
for 1.1 million.
Yeah. So like the people already know. So it's just having a relationship with the builders and make sure you're going to get a spread. So we just, being that we're not as experienced in it, we just said, hey, let's go to a market that's not as aggressive.
Yeah.
So we chose Southern Virginia to really understand how it works, get it, figure out the logistics, the advertising, because our ad spend in Northern Virginia was ridiculous.
Crazy.
And we were like fighting teeth and nail with a bunch of other people, builders like you guys, and
like builders, realtors, other wholesalers.
It's
like
everybody.
We would walk into appointments where there is like already 5 other people they've met with, which I'm used to as an agent. Like, look, we can offer both ends of it. If you want to list your house, we can do that. But at the end of the day, I think for us, especially with finding like buy and holds, if we're going to start jumping into that too, like it's got to be an area where it makes sense, like that 1% of whatever the purchase price is for the rental. And that's just not really, it doesn't happen as much here. It can, like we've found properties that we're buying at 50, 60 cents on the dollar, but it's not typical.
Yeah.
So how far south are you guys going with your real estate business now?
We just closed on one today, actually this morning in Roanoke.
And by the way,
oh wow.
We paid as much as people usually pay for earnest money deposit for the house.
Yeah.
We just bought this house for $5,000. And it's a legit house. It just needs some rent. I mean,
the ARV is probably $100,000.
It's $100,000, but it's more feasible as far as getting if you want to borrow money and other things. But yeah, we're going as far south. Like we want to still stay in Virginia. We're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah, we were looking at like a mobile home park down in Saltville, Virginia, which is like another 2 hours south of Roanoke. So it really depends. And luckily we have people that we know that live in Roanoke, people that we know that live in Richmond that can go and check on the deals and do like inspections and stuff for us. So we can do it. Like this deal we did 100% virtually. So it really.
And I think making alliances for us has been crucial. Yeah. Like we, partnering up with realtors down in the areas that we are in, so that way, because we don't want to drive to frickin' Roanoke for every deal or try to figure out. No. So bringing realtors in and make sure that they're getting
realtors and friends.
Yeah. So that has been really crucial for us as well.
Yeah. So you guys are expanding your network using virtual, and that's really allowing you to expand your geographic footprint and kind of open up, find these markets where maybe there's some, they might call it a wedge space or white space, that where the competition's just not as fierce as a highly populated area.
Right. Yeah. Which doesn't mean that you can't do it here. Like we said, you 100% can. You're just going to have to fight a little harder for it. And for us, like we having our other business that we're constantly in all the time, like we just don't have that time to like be all in this area and really hone into the Northern Virginia. It's just so competitive at this point. Like we're the biggest competitor for our company in terms of the site development and trucking. So we're like highly focused on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was good training for us going down south. Like so our ads, because I think how much do we blow on ad spend? Like
it's like 30 grand over 2 months or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we blew like 10 grand in Northern Virginia, and it wasn't, we did mailers, we did cold call, we did, what else?
We had virtual callers,
Facebook ads, and we got some decent leads, but they weren't motivated. It was just like, hey, what builder is going to give us the right amount of money? And at that time, I didn't have the energy to connect with the builders and say, hey, I got this deal. So we just said, you know what, it's a little bit outside of our realm right now. But I think eventually once we get our stuff honed in, we do want to come back to Northern Virginia, because now I have a lot more connections due to the excavation side.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, it's cool to see, what can happen when a couple like you guys are working together and bring different strengths to the table, and it's just awesome to see. And so I want to commend you guys for that. And
thank you.
We're gonna do a couples round of the HyperFast round. Normally this is one person, so this will be interesting. But we always wrap up with a couple questions and just some quick answers if you guys are ready.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, what is your biggest piece of advice for a new real estate agent and new real estate investor?
I think consistency and persistence, like just keep going. Like that's it, period. Like there's so many times, especially in my career, where I would come home and tell Ivo, like, I'm done. Like, I can't do it. Like, I just spent so much money. Like, this isn't happening. It's not happening the way it should happen. Just getting super frustrated, but just be persistent and continue to just push, and it will come. It will 100% come back.
Yeah. And we have I'm looking at a post right now that says persistence. The noun is not giving up until you succeed. So that's huge. Persistence is huge. Mm-hmm. For me, I think would be mentorship.
That's huge.
I knew nothing about real estate. I knew that my dream was to be involved in real estate in some sort of way. Yep. And the only way we were able to get to the next level, and Taylor got mentorship by going and working at a team and getting coached and getting information. And then we paid to have a mentor to teach us off market. And then we paid another mentor to teach us off market. So I think getting mentorship, either paid or unpaid, is what's going to skip those lag years of you trying to figure it out on your own. Somebody's already been there, done that, mm-hmm. and then you can pivot and shift some of the things you don't like from them, but it will cut you so much time and so much money if you just get a mentor. And look, you don't have to pay to get a mentor. People usually write $15 books or $20 books. And if you don't have the $20, and if you don't have the $20 books, like we were interviewing somebody yesterday and they're like, we would just go to the library. It's free. So,
but now they're closed. So just
you can't go to the library. But I'd say what's pivoted my life was mentorship. And I think once you get the free mentorship after that, there's nothing better than paid mentorships. One of the biggest players, I think I heard it from Ray Dalio, he said, the best kind of friends you can have are paid friends. So, and not that you're going out to buy your friends, but you're paying to be around high level mastermind people. So paying for mentorship, definitely worth it.
Yeah, no, you got to invest the time and money in yourself to get time and money. So I agree completely. Next question. What is your biggest piece of advice to an experienced agent, investor, business owner, etc.?
I think just constantly like reinventing yourself. Focus on who you are and stay true to that, but never stop learning, never stop educating. Just constantly like learn new things and push forward. Because if you constantly just stay where you're at, I mean, you're never going to grow.
Yeah. To add to that, I think, and I'll add something different, but I think complacency, like when you become the top dog, you can become complacent. So I think just not staying complacent. But for me, I think networking is so huge. Like never stop networking, no matter, like we talked about, we're always in each other's industry and we're always trying to figure a way what we're talking about. So being super intentional with your conversations. Why are you there? Who are you trying to talk to? And networking nonstop. Like, you might just be going to the pool to hang out with your kids, but just freaking talk to a stranger. Like, there's nothing better. I know your parents taught you to like not to talk to strangers, but I think the best thing that changed my life, like the biggest contract that I've ever been awarded, was I saw a guy pumping gas at the gas station with an EQR sticker on his truck. And I said, "Hey man, gas is cheap around here, isn't it?" "Oh yeah. Oh dude, look, by the way, I saw your truck. Here's my card. I do site development. I do trucking. If you ever need help with this." And that just turned out to be over $1 million contract from just talking to a stranger at a gas pump, networking with him and talking to him. It's super uncomfortable and it sucks, but networking and talking to people just like doing business with people. I mean, we'll get to the robots. We're not there yet, but I think at the end of the day, it's people talking to people. And they just want, even if you're a little bit more expensive, but if you're personal and they like talking to you, they're going to do business.
Value.
What's the biggest business mistake you've ever made, and what did you learn from it?
Gosh, there are a lot.
I can go first if you want to think.
Yeah, go.
So it was the best and the worst mistake, not firing fast enough. really, it's tough because the person was one of my best hires at the time because he was my first hire and he was great. But then as you bring people in and you see that person tarnishing the whole company, and it's hard because that's a breadwinner, it's a moneymaker for you, and you're scared to lose the revenue. You figured the shit out on your own before, right? And I think we got to go back to our core and trust ourselves. But if I would have fired sooner, I would have just not had as many issues backlogged from keeping him on so long and tarnishing the whole environment and the morale of the team. So that was super crucial for me is, when you bring somebody, like we hear it in every freaking book, hire slow, fire fast. Like, I know we hear that over and over, and it's hard for us to kind of wrap around like, hey, just let him go because he makes you money. But, let go. And when you see, if it's in your gut, let him
do it. I think for me, it's silver platter syndrome. Like, you always think the grass is greener somewhere else along the line. It's happened to me multiple times where I'm doing well and I get bought into something and then I'm like, that's got to be it. Like, that's my answer. It's never easy. Like, if I could just stress that, business is never easy. It's going to be hard. You're going to have a lot of paths to cross through, a lot of ups and downs, but just stay focused and stay in your lane and go forward. Because if you're constantly distracted by what's around you and you think it's going to be easy at any point, it's not.
Yeah, no, those are both great points. Like, it definitely does usually get harder just because the size of your problems grows, but the more you push yourself, the bigger your capacity grows to handle them. So
Sure.
That's a great point, as well as waiting too long to fire. Everybody thinks that they can, be the god or savior, and if someone's a bad choice, like you're not going to be able to save them. Like, they just your gut is almost always right. So got to push the pride aside and move on. Last question on the HyperFast round: where do you see yourself or yourselves, I should say, in 5 years?
Oh my gosh. So we've done a lot of like those exercises where we map out where we're going to be in 5 years, 10 years, what have you. We actually did one recently where you list 300 things you want to accomplish in your lifetime. Super, super detailed.
Pretty hard to do, by the way. Most people think it's easy, but it's super hard to do.
But I think in 5 years, we've talked about, we just want our business to mesh even more. We want to grow to obviously become the biggest site developers, real estate investors, truckers in the Northern Virginia area. We're well on our way to that, but really taking that and pushing it to another level, and also getting involved a lot more heavily in multifamily.
Yeah. I think for me, I always try to attach certain things to monetary and track that and know, but we talk about 10 years, we would like to be at 100 million, and people think that's a crazy number, but we're doing about 12 million a year. We shot for 20 million this year. COVID just punched us right in the face, but I think 5 years, I'd like to try to reach for 50 million, and I think it's doable. We've brought in some really key players. So do 50 million as a site developer. And I think for me, it's not, obviously the monetary is there, but we really like empowering people. So we do want to speak more on public stages. We want to empower and be able to help people get to the next level. So whatever that looks like, we don't know exactly, but being able to empower others to show them that anything in life is possible, that's part of our plan. And then just be the best husband, father, whatever at that point. Hopefully we will have kids. In 5 years, I know Taylor's,
I don't know if that's on my 5 years.
Taylor's the anti-baby. Taylor is then like a no kid.
Well, she's got a much bigger say in it than you. So.
I know. So
we have a lot to do in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think
that happens, it happens.
No, we'll have kids in max 3 years. Mark this podcast, max 3 years. But yeah, but also not be the best business owner and leader, but the best husband and the best father. Because I think a lot of people and a lot of times we get so wrapped up in our monetary goal that we forget that we have to be great husbands. We forget that we have to be, and trust me, it's hard, at both sides, but I want to be the best all around. Like, I don't want to just be the best leader and be a shit husband and, have people saying whatever to say about, my marriage. So all around.
And be healthy.
Yeah, I gave up gluten, so pray for me.
All right. Well, I agree with all that. Like you can't sacrifice one area in life for the others. It's important to excel at all of it if you really want to live your best life. So thanks for being on the show, guys. Before we sign off, what's the best way for people to connect with you guys?
So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and we have our podcast too. It's called Taylor and Ivo, Made for More. And then you can just search our names, Taylor Pereira, Ivo Pereira, on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll find us.
Yeah.
And Twitter too. Yeah.
I'm not on my Twitter game. I need to get on my Twitter game. But for Instagram, for me, it's Brazilian Entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
Ivo Pereira on Facebook. Best way to reach out to me is probably going to be through Facebook. And we'd love to connect. Anybody has anything, and check out our podcast for sure. Thanks so much for having us, Dan.
It was awesome.
It was an honor and a pleasure to be on with you.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks, guys. And I'm sure all the listeners out there enjoyed hearing from this power real estate couple. And, we can't wait to have you guys back on again. But thank you, everyone else, for tuning in.
Thanks, Dan.
Awesome.
See ya.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos. I read them all each week, and I select winners to give out hats, shirts, coaching calls with me, and tickets to some of our events. I'll see you next time.